I both loved and hated this episode of Dragon Ball Super. I loved it because it focused on some more of the side characters of the series. In particular, Krillin and Android 18. Not only did we get to see these two characters fight, but we got to see them fighting together as husband and wife. And it was really exciting. They actually had some pretty stellar strategies when they were going up against some of these fighters, and man, there certainly are, like, a lot of Wolfmen fighters in this Tournament of Power. The very first opponent that Krillin and 18 go up against in this episode goes by the name of Shosa, who is this karate ninja who manages to get defeated by both Krillin and 18 when they do this combination attack, where they create this big blast of energy, and they end up, like, basically playing tennis with it, with the opponent in between them, constantly having to dodge it, when eventually he does end up getting hit by this blast, which sends him flying. The second opponent of the episode is a little more interesting, and just like the other wolfy warriors of this arc, he has a very similar appearance. Although I love the Chinese fighting style that he has, where he has the very large scars. I also just love his overall design, because his name is Majora, no relation, and he also seems to have some sort of, like, weird ability that allows him to sense people by smelling them. Now, this is funny for a number of reasons. One, I love the concept that we have a blind fighter here. It's something that we actually don't see too much in the Dragon Ball series, and it already makes this guy a really cool guy. What I do love the fact, though, is that the entire Dragon Ball series started with Krillin fighting against a guy in a tournament who basically caused him to smell the worst things that he's ever smelled in his entire life. And now he's going up against a guy in the latest tournament who has the ability to smell him perfectly. It's really weird that all of this smelly stuff is happening with a character who has no nose. Now, the coolest thing about this battle, of course, is that it's a big moment for Krillin. Not only does he manage to defeat Majora, but he stands tall, being another proud fighter of Universe 7, proving that he's one hell of an asset. After this part of the episode, I was really ready to see more of what Krillin was going to be capable of in the Tournament of Power. I was excited to see what the creators of the series were going to do for him. What sort of new techniques were we going to see? What sort of crazy strategies was he going to come up with? And then all of those thoughts were completely dashed when Frost appeared from out of nowhere and sent Krillin flying, making him the first person from Universe 7 to actually lose! What the hell? Krillin cannot catch a break in the series. He's not Yamcha. He's not that bad. I can't believe he was the first one to actually drop out. And while this episode was epic with some of the things that he did, and hell, I would honestly call this one of the best Krillin fights from the entire series, there just wasn't enough of it. I just wanted more. And I also wanted an episode that was sort of singularly, like, dedicated to Krillin. I really wanted there to be that one epic moment that we were going to remember forever, and instead, we basically just sort of got, like, the greatest hits of Krillin in this episode, which admittedly was exciting in some of the moments. I loved him teaming up with 18. I loved when 18 was thrown out of the ring and Krillin had to save her, and it ended up being a really cool badass, and it was going to end up being a touchy moment, but it ended up turning into a ridiculously funny moment. And then, of course, there's Frost, who just appeared from out of nowhere here. And man, that has to hurt even more, because it's like the second time that Krillin has lost to, like, a Frieza-type character. And man, it just sucks that the dude just cannot catch a break. It's also, of course, making things seem a little more tense now that Universe 7 is down by one fighter. With only 9 left, their chances have definitely gone down a lot more to see if they're actually going to win the Tournament of Power. Of course, we know what characters are certainly going to be sticking around for a long time, but of course, showing us that Krillin can go out this quickly lets us know that there could be a lot of twists and turns in the coming weeks to see what is going to be happening to all of these characters, so don't get too attached. They might be getting thrown out of the ring a lot sooner than you think. There could be some more twists and turns, and there were a lot of other great action scenes that definitely made this episode worth checking out, so what's the rundown on this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super? This one was definitely going to be remembered, I think, for all the Krillin and Android 18 scenes. But there were some other great moments here, like Vegeta going up against Batomo and Ota Majeta, who team up and tag team and doing this ridiculous technique where Batomo ends up riding on Ota Majeta's shoulders, and he covers his ears so that Vegeta cannot actually insult him. It's just goofy, and you're kind of just waiting for that moment where Vegeta's not going to hold back anymore and he's just going to completely destroy these guys. And it doesn't really go too much of anywhere in this episode, and unfortunately Goku doesn't really get to do all that much either. But like I said, this episode is definitely dedicated to Krillin and Android 18, and I think it certainly delivered on that front. The fighters they went up against, I wish I could learn a little bit more about them. The fact that we don't really get to see like their backstories and what they came from and what their motivation is does make them seem kind of, dare I say, fillerish, but still, I do think they're interesting enough to carry this episode right here. I just kind of wish that we got an episode of Krillin where he got to go up against an opponent who was someone who really pushed him to his limits and had a really cool backstory, which would sort of intertwine with his in a really cool way. And unfortunately, he just got snuffed out too early. And man, I really do hope all the other characters do get their moment in the sun. I'm just very excited for it. Then, of course, there were just a lot of other little random action scenes. There's also a really cool moment between Android 17 and 18, with 17 calling out 18 for becoming a lot too nice at this point now that she actually has a family. It was a nice little tender moment between brother and sister, and kind of recalled a lot of the events from the original arc in which they appeared, so there's certainly some nostalgia there. That and a lot of the action in this episode did look pretty cool, if it was a bit repetitive at times. So this is still a stellar episode right here. I'm just really disappointed that Krillin is out this early in the actual tournament, so I'm going to give this episode right here a 4 out of 5. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and you could tell me in the comments section below what you thought about this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super, and Krillin being the first one to actually lose in the Tournament of Power. Were you excited by his action scenes? Are you disappointed that he was defeated so early? What sort of other matchups are you hoping to see in the Tournament of Power? Did you check out that crazy preview for next week's episode? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Goku versus Caulifla. It's going to be pretty friggin' awesome. Tell me all your thoughts in the comments section below. With that in mind, thank you all for watching this review. I very much appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment giving me your thoughts about today's subject, and of course, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Remember, if you are subscribed to the channel, make sure to check out this icon so you can get all of the notifications for when my videos are released. You'll even get them sent directly to your email. It's pretty freaking awesome. It always lets you know when I'm going to release something. So thank you guys for watching. Take care, and as always, stay damn, baby.